tonight in Canton, Ohio, the Hall of Fame game kicks off between the Chargers and Lions. This is going to be a whole lot of fun. We finally have football to talk about. I get it, it's preseason, but still, people, this is a fun game. We now welcome in Lindsay Theory to start our show. She's there in Canton, Ohio. Lindsay, we've got football tonight. What should we be looking out for in this Chargers-Lions game? Get everybody ready for it.
Oh, Laura, not a lot of starters, but football is back. Jim Harbaugh says his veteran traditional starters will not play tonight, but we will see the Chargers rookies. That includes first-round pick Omari and Hampton. Now, Hampton's been getting a bulk of the carries at Chargers practice with Najee Harris sidelined because of an eye injury. But tonight, of course, will be his first game action. Hampton saying he's excited and that his mindset really going into any game is to remember that this is a game he's been playing since he was a kid. He doesn't want to think too much out there, and he wants to have some fun. As for the Lions, Dan Campbell also not expected to play his starter, so the spotlight there really turns to his two new coordinators. The Lions losing over the offseason Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn to head coaching jobs, so they now turn to John Morton and Kelvin Shepard. For Morton, he says he's not really feeling any pressure or anxiousness, which is surprising given the Lions have produced among the top offenses over the last 3 years. He says he's able to feel confident going into this because in 2022 he worked with this group, and then since he was the Jets play caller in 2017 he's learned a lot and gotten a lot more comfortable. So Laura, we'll keep a lookout for the coordinators there. As for that, football is back. Football weather is back here in Canton, but for now we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer to see any starters take the field.
As expected, but still, we'll see something happen on the field. Cannot wait to see some of these rookies. Thanks so much, Lindsay. The Lions unofficially get their 2025 season started tonight. Of course, Detroit has the best record in the NFL over the last 2 years. They went 15-2 last season before their season came to a halt with a home divisional round loss against the Commanders. Both coordinators, as we were just talking about, the biggest question mark entering the season. John Morton and Kelvin Shepard replaced new head coaches Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, but as Lindsay told you, they're feeling confident. They're feeling good. Welcome. We're feeling good, too. We're excited. We got some real football to watch tonight. I can't wait to sit down on the couch, take it all in. Mike Tannenbaum is here. Ryan Clark, Adam Schefter. Let's get right to it. Mike T, it's the story of the offseason, this coaching situation with the Lions. They replaced both defensive and offensive coordinators. What are you looking to see from these new coaches in Detroit? And you may not see a whole lot of it tonight because people don't want to give things away in preseason. Right?
Yeah, and Laura, we may not see a lot of it at all in terms of changes because it really hasn't been broke. So starting on offense with John Morton, maybe a little bit on the margins. You know, last year Ben Johnson led the league with snaps under center, but the bones of a great offense are there. The explosive players of Jahmyr Gibbs, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta. So maybe a little bit, go downfield a little bit more, but not a lot. Other side of the ball, Kelvin Shepard. Detroit last year with Aaron Glenn led the league playing more man-to-man than anybody. Maybe they dial up a little bit more zone pressures. You know, we'll see. But again, a lot of really good players on both sides of the ball. I think there'll be some tweaks, but again, the foundation is there, so I don't think there'll be a massive overhaul.
Yeah, for me, I want to see how Jameson Williams takes another step and becomes a top-tier receiver. You look at him last year, this guy didn't even have 60 catches, but he had over 1,000 yards, and that's because he averaged 17 yards per catch. We know how explosive he is, but we saw last year that he can catch the football, and his yards after the catch can be absolutely devastating to the opposing team. Jameson Williams is one of those players that was at Ohio State, couldn't get on the field because that entire wide receiver room is stacked, goes to Alabama, explodes, has the knee injury, and now he's coming into his own. I want to see, can Johnny Martin find a way to include him along with Amon-Ra St. Brown so it's more of a 1A, 1B sort of share of the passes, because I believe the more he touches the ball, the more explosive this offense is, and along with that run game in Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, they can continue to be one of the best offenses in all the NFL, no matter who's pulling the strings as the offensive coordinator.
It's been mentioned here about the departures of Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator who became the head coach of the Chicago Bears, and Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator who became the head coach of the New York Jets. But it's not just those two particular individuals who left the Lions organization in the offseason. The Lions lost 8 coaches altogether, including both their coordinators. The center of their offense, Frank Ragnow, retired. And even though this team has been as good as any in football the last couple of years, those are noticeable holes that they have to overcome. That means leaning on Jared Goff some for leadership. That means leaning into some of these other players and coaches. We're not going to get an idea of that tonight. That's not what tonight is about. Tonight is about the Lions taking an extended look at Kyle Allen at quarterback and Hendon Hooker at quarterback to see what they have in some of these young players. We're trying to secure backup spots and roster jobs. But this is a team that, for as good as it's been, still has some questions that it has to answer this season.
All right, a lot to get to with all that. And let's get to our top stories with Adam. We're putting you right back to work here, Adam. What's the latest on Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals?
Laura, he's back at camp right now, but there's been a difference on guaranteed money. Now, again, the two sides are in near agreement on the length of the deal, what the value of the deal should be, but they've been unable to bridge their differences on guaranteed money. And until there's some headway made there, they're going to remain at odds. Trey Hendrickson has said that he's not going to play on this contract that is scheduled to pay him $16 million. We'll see what unfolds here. Similarly, in Dallas, the Dallas Cowboys and Micah Parsons right now are nowhere. They seem to be further away from a deal now in late July than they were in late March. The two sides have not spoken in recent weeks or even months. The Cowboys open the season 5 weeks from tonight. And it sounds like Micah Parsons may have some significant decisions to make about how he wants to handle his future. Meanwhile, in that division, Terry McLaurin also doesn't have a deal, not close to a deal. The two sides disagree on what would be fair value for Terry McLaurin. So he's back in the organization, but he's still not practicing. He's on the physically unable to perform list. He is entering the last year of his contract in an exploding wide receiver market. And so we now have Washington and McLaurin, Dallas and Parsons, Cincinnati and Hendrickson today. And these things can change fast, Laura, but today, nobody is close to a deal.
Yeah, man, it's just fascinating. There's a lot of here, too, of like, I'm just here so I don't get fined, right? McLaurin, by the way, had instant chemistry with Jayden Daniels during his rookie season, and he had significantly better numbers throwing to his top target than all other wide receivers combined. Look at these numbers. Daniels had 12 touchdowns to McLaurin, the third most for any combo in the league in 2024, behind Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those connections are well documented. Here's Jayden Daniels today on his new weapon, Deebo Samuel.
I'll just say from Deebo, I mean, the guy's played a lot of football, and he's very understanding of different coverages and routes, and, the guy is a pro, and he works hard. So for me, it's like I just go out there and try to communicate this is what I want versus this look versus this coverage, and he go out there and he puts in the work and he understands it.
Now, Jayden's also talked about McLaurin and said they've been in communication and all these things, if you're wondering. But, RC, if Jayden is without McLaurin at all to start this season, how does this Cliff Kingsbury offense look with Deebo now part of it?
Listen, Deebo Samuel doesn't do what Terry McLaurin does. Deebo Samuel was going to be the perfect complement to what Terry McLaurin does. Deebo Samuel can be used as a Swiss Army knife, play in the slot, play the X receiver, play the Z, get in motion, and give you some of the short routes with the yards after the catch. We know how difficult he is to get on the ground with the football in his hands, and it's going to be on Cliff Kingsbury to find ways to get Deebo the football where he can make plays, have one-on-one opportunities in the open field. But make no mistake about it, Deebo Samuel is not a replacement for Terry McLaurin. These players couldn't be more polar opposites in the way that you need to utilize them offensively. Having Terry McLaurin in this building is paramount for Jayden Daniels and paramount for this offense to be able to create explosive plays. And then Deebo Samuel becomes the recipient of some of those two high coverages, those coverages that are soft, because now he can catch the ball, work one-on-one with safeties and linebackers, and show just how good he was in San Francisco in that Kyle Shanahan offense.
Yeah, RC, to me, the other problem that Deebo Samuel really solves is when you go back a year ago, maybe the only issue you had with Jayden Daniels was he was sacked 47 times, which was the sixth most amount. So they went out, they traded for Laramie Tunsil, drafted Josh Connolly. When healthy, Sam Cosby presumably will go inside. But Deebo Samuel, as you mentioned, he's so hard to tackle. He averages 9 yards after catch in terms of production. So to me, those long handoffs get the ball out of Jayden Daniels' hands. So I think Deebo Samuel kills two birds with one stone relative to helping keep Jayden Daniels healthy and getting sacked less.
But it still comes back to Terry McLaurin, right? They're going to need him in this offense. He was the deep ball threat. He was the go-to guy. He was the guy that made play after play last season. The amount of tough catches that he made rivaled any receiver in the National Football League. He was the player that Jayden Daniels counted on, really a security blanket like Zach Ertz. And again, the season here is just over 5 weeks away from getting here, and the two sides have not made a lot of progress towards a new deal, and you wonder what it would take, because who would think that Terry McLaurin wouldn't have a deal done on July 31st? We know what he means to Washington. They know what he means to their offense, and yet here they are, still struggling to find common ground and a compromise that would enable this deal to get done.
They just showed you that list of who is in this wide receiver room. And if you don't have Terry McLaurin, you don't have a top-end deep ball guy. You don't have a person that you feel is going to go outside and win in one-on-ones. And though Terry McLaurin may not be all of these other people we've compared him to when it comes to contract negotiations, he is their number one. He is their most important wide receiver.